Hey guys, it's Jim Bounds at Motorhome Rehab Ranch, and you remember that video podcast kind of idea we had before? Well, I got another one. We're going to try another one here. I'm not going to try to show his phone or anything like that on this one, but this is a very interesting project. Talked to this guy about it, and I asked him for us to do a series now of video podcasts about his ideas and what he's doing and just where he's at. And now understand, I've heard enough of his ideas to say, okay, these are pretty cool, but I don't know if he wants to put rockets on it or Tesla or anything like that. So I'm kind of hitting this for the first time too. And what I want to do is we're going to bring up topics that he's going to go into, and then we're going to drill down on just a little bit in each one. Now, we can't do all this in 15 minutes, so there will be several series and episodes because YouTube wants me to be about 15 minutes, all right? All right, so hey, John, are you over there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, man. Well, look, we're talking to everybody on YouTube. Wave at them. You look like a big chrome microphone head that has a green light on it and a black body. That's what you look like. So, all right. There you go. Well, look. So take about 5 minutes here. What I want to do is real quickly talk about what you got, the motorhome you got, and just your initial ideas of what you want to do with it. Now, when you're talking about this at the bottom, I may stop you or whatever, but I want to list maybe 5 or 6 of the first topics, and then we'll go into something, okay?
Okay, sounds
all right.
Good.
So, John, go ahead. Tell me what's happening.
Okay, well, I recently purchased a 1978 GMC Royale, 26-foot, with the 403 Oldsmobile engine in it. And virtually nothing has been done with it in 45 years.
How many miles are on it, John?
It's a low mileage, and the frame is in good shape. It's a Arizona, Texas, New Mexico vehicle. But we're planning to go completely through it. And we're the GMC Motorhome. They only built them 5 years. But it truly was unique in that it was a front-wheel drive. It had a unique rear suspension, where most motorhomes are just a box on a truck. This was designed from the ground up to allow for lower floors and a much better ride, and even 45 years later. So what I want to do is return it to its original glory, but also to include some updated technologies to it, and everything from repowering it, perhaps adding some solar. There have been upgrades on the suspension. You were involved with that. I have a wonderful video on the quad bag system. And just to make it as reliable and comfortable as possible. And one of the first problems I had, well, conceptually now, what I wanted to do was to clear virtually everything off the roof of the motorhome.
I tell you what, John. Let's do this. Let's break it up into exterior, as you're doing, interior, and mechanical. Okay. Now, it doesn't mean you just leave the mechanical alone until your exterior is done. That's not what I'm saying. But you want to talk about, first thing I would say is to get it sealed up where anything that's still in there is going to still be good.
Okay. Yeah. On the exterior, exactly right, Jim. What I want to do is to keep it dry.
Right.
There's been evidence over the years of leakage.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the ideas that I had was one, to replace the two 15,000 BTU rooftop air conditioners, that's air conditioning only, with a split mini HVAC system that would, the condenser would be on the back and the head would be internal against the wall.
Yeah.
But one of the first problems, and then to reseal the front and rear caps. Again, one of your videos showed how the differential expansion between the aluminum and fiberglass that needs to be sealed properly. also looking at other areas like the trip moldings, and I noticed there were leaks around the windshield and some of the windows. So the first area would be to ensure that it is dry.
Yeah.
And
Well, like you said, I've got several videos we've done about, the windshield leak and the side window leaks and the rails and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, that all of that kind of stuff is where you want to go first. I think replacing your roof airs are a real good idea, because for no other reason than they have age on them. The older they get, the more current they pull. All right, and if they lock up, it could do damage. So if you're going to use this thing, honestly, if you're trying to cut corners and if it works, well, just be careful. But if you're really wanting to go at it, I don't know if you've seen these. I saw in your notes that you wanted to talk about this, but Roof Air Conditioners is a company that I haven't seen them up until the last couple of years. It's called RV Pro AC. If you do a Google search for RV Pro AC, okay, they have one unit that I've had several people purchase. It's a low profile rotary compressor. It's got a wireless remote on it. Very cool. All right, heat pump. Very efficient. So go look at their website. One of the things I try to do with ranch hands is everything's on the internet. The question is, where is it? So one of the things I try to do here is to point people in that direction, right? So check out those air conditioners, okay?
Okay, yeah. The heat is important to me because one of the other ideas, because of the side point, is to get rid of all the LP gas and have all electric or gasoline.
Well, that compartment there, if you strip out the propane, if you're really wanting to clean the roof off, and I talked to you about roof airs just then, but if you really want to clean the roof off and go to the new systems, which seem to really work pretty well, okay, first of all, very efficient, blah, blah, blah. 110 units really work well. I'll explain as we get further. You want to try to stay with AC 110, and I'll explain later. But anyway, that compartment is real good for your condenser. Okay? That works out really well. You lose that propane. Now understand, and we've talked about this on another video, but propane is the highest BTU output fuel source that you can carry. Just know that.
Right.
So.
Well, the reason I'd like to get away from it, Jim, is because of the difficulty and the inconvenience, I should say. It's not difficult to get, but just the inconvenience.
Yeah, no, I understand totally. This is decades we've talked about this. We've even gone as far as to put a marine application where it takes 2 barbecue grill tanks, right? That's easier because you don't have to go to the gas. You can bring the gas to yourself, okay? So, that's one way to kind of stopgap it. But then another thing, the technology is getting to the point, if you're just, economic with your energy needs, you don't need to turn on everything simultaneously. You know what I mean?
Right.
And if you understand that, and, we can get around a lot of things. I know that in one of these series somewhere we're going to start talking about generators, and I've got a whole set of stuff to talk about that. Okay, so when we go into a subject, let me spew out some things that I know about that subject, and then we can grow on that. Okay.
Okay. Great.
Okay. So the roof. Do some research on exterior on the database. There's a pile of stuff about roofs. The one thing that when you read, I used Worth products simply because they're really, really good stuff. Their expensive stuff is really, really good. But it's so hard to get Worth that my substitute is a similar specification, Dicor. So as you read, Dicor is what we're going to have to go to because it's much easier to find, and it do similar thing. I just want the specifications. It's not like one brand. There's a million chemicals, and if you get them all mixed up right, then it works out. You know what I mean?
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. So, yeah, look at all that kind of stuff about the exterior. And yes, we want to seal this booger up. You need to pull those rails off. I know everybody looks at it and says, man, can't we just cover that thing? You just really can't. It'll look like poop if you do. And the seal is under that rail. That rail is a cover for the sealant under it. You follow what I mean?
The drip rail that goes
Right.
on the sides.
Right. You got it?
Okay.
See, that was a serviceable seam. How many serviceable seams are there on any car? There aren't any. This thing was designed by an aircraft engineer, and aircraft do have resealable seams. Okay? So that rail was made on there. It was put in with Torx screws so you could get them back out, and it should have been resealed about every 10 years or so. Well, we're at 40, and I'll guarantee it's never been taken out.
Yeah, I noticed that they have silicone caulking everywhere. That's got to be probably taken off the razor blade or.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have some fun with that.
But it's just it looks like it was leak after leak after leak that they kept caulking. And
Yep.
you're saying to take the rail apart, do it right the first time.
Yep. You got to get all that stuff off of it. And the thing is, if just real quickly, I don't want to go too deep, but if you think about a cylinder, and if you roll the cylinder, okay, right down the seam, it doesn't move. But the further you get away from the seam, the overlap piece moves. So what you have no movement right in the middle, you could have 1/8 of an inch at the top and the bottom of the rail. You follow? That's why lathering it up with a pile of stuff doesn't do anything. It's going to leak. Okay, so that's got to be taken off, and there's a pretty reasonably involved video on that. So I would tell you to look at all that kind of stuff, and then get back to me, and we can go through it. Okay.
Okay, great. What about the side seam? I understand that is an H section where the aluminum uppers and the fiberglass lowers join.
That's correct.
But what type of sealant goes in there? How do you rework
Okay.
that?
Well, you're gonna repaint this thing, right?
Yes.
Okay. When we get to that point, if you think about that H mold, all we need to seal is just that little crack right at the top of that H mold where the panel goes in, right?
Right, where the aluminum
Right.
the H.
Right. So you're going to take some urethane seam sealer, like you would use on a car for the seams. You put it in there and then you wipe it out. What you're doing is you're forcing it down into the crack. You don't want to have any surface seam seal left, because if you do, it'll crack out because of expansion and contraction, right? But what you want to do is wipe on and wipe off. Put it into the crack and then make your finger wipe it out. Get it nice and clean and dry, because then the sealant goes down in there. Then the paint comes on it, and there's a flat surface that won't move.
I see.
If
Do
you put
try to dig out the old stuff first?
Yeah, you might as well. I mean, you don't want to start, perforating things. But you need to get it down to a bite surface in there, because you want to put sealant in there that will bite and stay in the actual crack.
Okay. Now, from one of your videos, I believe that there's an updated window gasket that you use. Is that right?
Okay. Now yours is a late model coach, right?
It's 78, yes, sir.
Okay. By the way, somebody in the 503 area code's calling. I'll have to call you back. Hey, let me hit remind me. There we go. I'll call you back, brother. Anyway, yeah, no, you stay. No, I was talking to the other guy. No, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. I get 20 or 30 calls a day, so this is the first time I've done it this way. Usually I've got a button I can say I'll call you back, and this one didn't do it, so I don't know. Anyway, where were we? We were talking about the seam. Okay, so we got that covered. Now on the vertical seams, it looks like it looks like a U shape, right?
Right.
Again, that seam sealer, you squirt it in and you wipe it out. That seam needs to be dry. The sealant.
On the vertical seams between the front and rear cap.
Right. And those seams You squirt it in there, and then you have your finger and you push it into the crack, which is on the side, and the seam actually will be dry.
Okay. Where the metal frame in the window joins the body, would you do the same thing with that then also?
Okay, here's what we're going to do. You're talking about the window frame, right?
Right.
Okay, I've got a video about this. Real quickly, let me explain. Never pull those windows. Never, ever, ever, never, ever, never pull those windows. On the early style coaches, the windows actually were aligned when they put in. If you take it out, you're going to have to realign the movement of it. The late models didn't need that, but there's no reason to take it out because you're going to bag off the window frame when you paint it, okay? Now, we don't want to show that bag. Well, we're going to bag it off, paint it, get it all done. Then we're going to paint the window frames, and then we're going to put a black RTV silicone seal between the body and the window frame, and it'll finish it off real nice. One, it'll seal it, and two, it'll finish off the window, and three, it will cover the paint line.
Okay.
So don't worry about that.
Okay.
Okay, you don't have to seam seal anything. We'll deal with it when the crying's all over.
Everything to make the coach dry is done from the outside. Is there anything that has to be done on the inside?
Well, when you start into those rails, to explain what I'm talking about, pull off the end cap. There's a Phillips head screw holding the end cap. Okay, take that screw out and then slide that end piece off of that rail gutter thing. You will find a hole big enough to stick your little finger in all the way into the inside of the coach. The only thing between it and leak is 50-year-old butyl tape. Now, why would that possibly leak? You follow what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you get into that point, when you can actually see light through the thing, that point you may want to just go back up inside and put a little bit of sealant from the inside at that point. Okay? Now let me give you another example of some things about the roof. Guys, we're at 17 minutes, so in another 3 minutes I'm going to cut this off and we'll do another episode. But while we're on the roof, every sheet metal screw that holds that roof rack, that rail and rack,
Yes.
is a leaker, because a sheet metal screw only grabs on the two sides of the hole. If you think about how a sheet metal screw works, you follow? It can't help but leak. Okay? So if you want to get rid of it, what you're getting ready to do is going to be putting a little bit of investment in this. Go get a Zert tool and put a 1/4-20 Zert, every one of those, and then seal the Zert tool, because that's a machine thread. The water won't flow down a machine thread with any sealant at all. You follow what I mean?
I follow you.
So a lot of times we take off the top rail and just leave the ladder. Cuts out a lot of possible problems. So just think through that. You know.
Okay, yeah, I had not thought that far.
Yeah, I'm looking at, we're talking about, we won't get to motors today because we only got a minute or so. But as far as the roof goes, look at it like this. The roof is one sheet of aluminum. It doesn't leak. But where the leaks are on the perimeter and the penetrations. Around the plate and all the penetrations, the holes, the vents, all that stuff. The aluminum never leaks. So some folks want to cover the whole roof with some kind of a sealant. All you're going to do is have a geopet in about 4 years. And it's not going to do anything more than if you just addressed the penetrations and the perimeter, it wouldn't leak. You follow what I mean?
I follow.
So we break it down like that.
You talked about attaching a ladder with a different type of attachment, that would converting to a machine thread rather than a
right.
Would the same approach work on the drip rails?
No, that's not the biggest problem. When you get the rail off, you'll see there are 3 leaker points, not just where the screws go in. Okay, the top of the aluminum plate has a leak, and there's rivets there. Some of those rivets have even popped out because there's a lot of stress there. Okay, then you got the valley where all the screws and threads are, and then you have where the sidewall comes up, and there's a seam there, and you could have capillary action actually pull water into it. You follow?
I follow. Yeah.
So you know, it's not just the screws. And to be honest with you, what we're going to put back in are 1024 stainless steel Phillips panhead screws, and we're going to leave them no more than 10 years. Okay, so you have stainless steel going into high tensile strength aluminum. That's a lot better than grade 8 steel going into high tensile strength aluminum. You follow?
I follow. Sure, makes sense.
Yeah, so we'll end up changing the screws to stainless, and they will be in a valley with just completely sealed. Okay, so again, everybody that's watching this, go to the database and pull up exterior. There's a whole pile of stuff there about sealing things, you know, and there's different sealants for different things. I try to explain some of it. And this is kind of what the database is for. You've got a million great, really good questions, and I've tried my best to answer some of those in these videos. The ones I don't cover, that's when you give me a call, get me in the loop, and then we work the whole thing out. Okay? So that's how I want to make this thing work. So listen, hang on a second, don't go away. I'm going to go ahead and end this video, and then we'll start a second one. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So guys, thanks a lot, and you can go get a brew or something. There'll be another video right on the tail of this one. Thanks for your help. Like on this, and ranch hands. What do you think? Let me know. Bye bye.